Day one, training camp 2019, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, exclusive fan radio network perch. Pleased to be joined once again by Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer. Coach, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Good to have you. And good to be here as well. Day one, you're around these guys a lot. You got a lot of off-season stuff. So when you get to day one of actual training camp, where is your head? What are you looking for?
Really, execution. It seemed like last year we had early in camp we had a bunch of jumping off sides and things like that. And we didn't have any of those today, I don't believe, or maybe I think there might have been one. But as far as the discipline penalties and things like that, just execution. I thought the quarterbacks were crisp with the ball. Guys flew around the ball pretty good, so it was. But it's easy on the first day, right?
That's true. Yeah, it's consistency is what you're looking for.
Yeah,
but you can't get to the second day until you get through the first, right?
Yeah, and that's why I told him the first day, good first day, but that's the easy part. What about day 2 and day 5 and day 15? How's that going to be?
By the way, the sprints late, we saw the missed field goal. I think it was wide left. So is that what dictates whether you guys to sprint or are they unrelated? I'm trying to figure out whether that was punishment because your kicker was wide left.
No, it was unrelated. It was a planned deal that I just thought I'd condition them a little bit as we start early, and we'll see if we keep going.
The age-old issue, I don't have to tell you because you know this better than I, the training camps have evolved from the old days in terms of how much physical contact is involved, how much hitting is involved. And there's always that fine line, obviously, of, okay, it is still football, so we got to get you ready to hit, but there's so many rules in place about how much we can do of that. Are you comfortable? I guess you have no choice, but how do you feel about the way that has evolved in terms of preparing a team?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is, you're trying to get through it healthy, number one, and execute. And as you probably saw today, we did 2 periods in the middle of practice were basically walkthroughs. I made them take their helmets off. And really the reason why for that was, these guys probably haven't been doing, they've been doing football, individual things, but for 5 weeks they haven't done a lot of this. And so I figured I would slow the pace down but get a lot of reps in, and we'll do it again tomorrow, and then I'll see where we're at on the third day, whatever day that is.
There's been an endless discussion in the off season about the changes you've made to the offensive staff and also the change to the offensive line and the blocking scheme. We've heard so much about zone blocking schemes. I'm curious to get, and I thought I read a quote from you sometime in the last few days where you said you think that blocking scheme, or the one you were introducing this year or maybe moderating, fits your linemen better. For those of us who don't understand blocking, other than we think we know why this guy blew a block, even though we don't always, we pretend to. What is that in layman's terms?
So
why
do you think Pro Football Focus?
Your favorite. Early shot in on Pro Football Focus. I love it. Day one. You're in mid-season form. So why do you believe it fits better?
Well, it's not just the running game because, we've run some zone scheme in the past, but our offensive linemen are athletic guys. And Kubiak and Dennison and these guys have been running, come from the Shanahan tree where they've had smaller offensive linemen but quicker and athletic guys. And so that part of is the running game. I think, as a defensive coach, what's hard is when you get stretch, and then the ball cuts back, and all you got to do is get one. We can't cut out here, but
right.
You get one guy cut on the ground, and there's a nice big cutback seam. But the other thing I've been talking about is with the play action pass. Now you've got 2 hands on a guy and 2 hands on another guy, and so the play action pass, if you're doing a good job in the running game, makes it much more difficult to rush a quarterback. Now, if we had to drop back 40 times a game and get in the shotgun, I don't think that would be to our benefit. So that's why I think it's important that we play good complementary football. We got to play good on defense. We got to be good on special teams and change the field position, and make the field goals like we missed a couple today, and then be able to control the clock offensively by running the ball, play action pass, and because of the, one of the hardest things for a defense to defend is play action pass, because linebackers or safeties get sucked. You saw a couple times the quarterback was out on the perimeter with no one on it, and so those are the kind of things that we need to do with this particular group of guys that we have, and hopefully. It's good. I've played against Kubiak many times with this zone scheme, and it's always been a bear to try to defend.
Dalvin Cook obviously is key to all of this in terms of, again, saying how this might enhance what he can do well. How would you describe the fit, and how important is he in what your vision is of this offense?
Well, I think he's very important. He's got such great vision and acceleration and ability to one cut. That's what they all talk about, is the one cut, getting back downhill. But he also has the speed to circle the defense if they're a little short on the one side. So all those things, and we've got, in my opinion, we've got some really good play action passes that can create some huge big plays, which we worked on this spring. And then we throw that in there, and you start getting guys worrying about the run. Next thing you know, they're throwing the ball over the top of you.
There's always endless talk about who your third wide receiver is going to be. Is there any chance that becomes slightly less important if you commit more, as it sounds like you guys have talked about, to two tight ends and Irv Smith becomes that other guy? Is it less important to establish some consistency at the third wide receiver, or are they both important?
Well, they're both important, but I think with the number of two-back formations that we're going to have, the number of two tight end formations that we're going to have, three tight end formations, and then, because I think Conklin has a chance to be a good player, so him and Irv Smith. But I think when it gets down to third down situations and some of those things, the third receiver becomes a lot more important.
There's, everybody's trying to figure out about the changes you guys have made, that play action plays into Kirk Cousins. It sounds like you're going to have him at the line of scrimmage under center more. Again, to the layman, what does that change? Why do you guys think that's important, and how does that, in your view, play perhaps to Cousins' strengths?
Well, today I thought he made a couple of really great throws on some of the play action passes today. Moved in pocket well one time. We didn't get him contained on the perimeter, and he ran for about 8-10 yards. So some of those things. Plus, he made some good throws. But where was I going with this? So when you're defending an offense and they're standing in the gun and the back goes across the formation, you don't get any suck out of the linebackers unless they pull a guard or something like that, or they flash a tight end. And with a guy under center, and if you're running the ball, if you're going under center and you stick that ball out there and the lineman coming off physically low and with good pad level, which we've done a nice job of, I think, that makes it much harder for play action pass. I'm not a big believer in the play action pass with the back in the gun going across the formation.
Because you just don't think people buy it.
Yeah, I watch guys all the time, and so what they've had to do is start doing the RPOs where they're not blocking somebody. I used to tell people back in the old days, they always said, how are we going to block this guy? And now in today's football, they say, well, how can we not block him? It's like, okay, whatever. So old school football.
Mike Zimmer is our guest of the Fan, Day 1 Vikings training camp. You have made your living largely on defense and on building defenses, either as an assistant coach or as a head coach. And I would assume that some of the quarterbacks who've given you the biggest headaches are quarterbacks who, no matter how well you might have defensed the actual play, find a way to create something out of seemingly nothing. I call it the seat of the pants gene a little bit, where you have to go to a plan B or maybe even C or D.
The experts call it off schedule.
Off schedule. That's an even better term. I like it. Thanks for helping me out there as I was stumbling and
pants,
bumbling.
But that's
similar. The question for you is that the one concern, or the one thing I've always wondered about Kirk, is he obviously can throw. He obviously can make all the throws and can move a little bit more, and I know you want him to do a little bit more. But does he have that in him to make that off-schedule play? Because every once in a while, as you know, the big-time quarterbacks have to make it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think that's one of the things he's been working on. I saw him do it a lot more this spring, and every time he does it, I go and say, that was a great deal. He had one today with Diggs where he kind of moved in the pocket, moved away from the pressure, stepped up and made a great throw to Diggs, and I don't think it really comes extremely natural for him, so he has to work on it. And Clint Kubiak is doing a great job with him of talking to him. Hey, take what you get, and if you got to make a play, make a play. And last year we were getting a lot of those. They were doubling Diggs and doubling Thielen, and playing man to man. And when they're doing that, they have no one on the quarterback,
right.
And so you have to just be able to instinctively create some space, and as soon as you start to run, somebody's coming off of somebody.
Great point. And like I said, sometimes it's one step or it's two steps, and then reestablish, and then somebody's there, right?
That's
what
exactly.
it's about.
Yeah, and he's been working really hard at it. We're trying to coach him better on it, and hopefully it works.
They tell me you're kind of cranky potentially about your depth at corner, which I don't blame you for being cranky. Obviously, you've got the Holton Hill situation, which you guys could not possibly have liked. A player I know you like when he's on the field in terms of what he might give you in terms of depth. And you've got obviously some injury issues that you're dealing with as well on Hughes in terms of his comeback. So how concerned are you about it at a position where the cliche is true, you can never have enough corners,
right? The
way the game is played. You guys have had some injuries with your starters as well. How concerned are you about your depth?
Yeah, I'm concerned. Hopefully we can get Mike back quicker than later, and he's a good player, and he's a good kid. It's very, very probably disappointing isn't the right word with this Holton Hill thing, but so we're going to have to figure out a ways, and now we got to become better coaches with if we get guys hurt, we got to figure out how to help a guy, just like I've been talking about with the offensive line. If he can't get out there and play man to man, how are we going to help him?
What is fair to expect of Everson Griffen at this point? Can you get what he once was again? And how do you feel about sort of where he is in his recovery on several levels, obviously? Yeah. Mental issues he's been dealing with on a higher level, but also as a football player, because you guys still have him and you still want him to be a factor.
Everson is he's just like his normal self. So, when he's being loud and obnoxious and saying a lot of things that he's back to the way he always is, and he's still a really good football player. I like him a lot. I think he's going to continue to help us. We'll probably need to take care of him a little bit in practice now that he's getting up in age, but we expect him when it gets into game time to let it loose.
How grateful are you?
And, one of the things about Everson, and everybody talked about the defense moved down and all that stuff.
Right.
And, we still finish in the top 5 in almost every category and so on and so forth. But Everson has always kind of been the bell cow of this defense. He's been kind of the leader, the guy that's going to be the physical presence where, he's going to – and he's not a guy that he's going to beat the guy on the first snap every time, because he's going to punch him in the mouth and punch him in the mouth and punch him in the mouth and then set him up. And so I think maybe if anything, maybe that's what we lost a little bit when he wasn't there.
Interesting. How grateful are you now that you're back out here playing that Barr is here? Because, it looked like it was over. I don't have to tell you. You probably – thought it was over. How much does that change things for you and compared to what you might have had to prepare for?
Yeah, we during the off season, obviously we were obviously looking at a lot of guys at his position, just because in case that happened, it might have changed the whole draft, the way we end up drafting this time. But Anthony is a great kid. He's smart as all get out. He's got a ton of athletic ability. He runs the show up front and does a great job there. So we're really pleased to have him back. We have some things for him, some
new wrinkles?
New wrinkles for him that we can
any you can reveal today? Probably you want to hold off on that.
Yeah, probably wait.
Yeah, they probably make some sense. But some things that you have that maybe he hasn't been asked to do before, or mixing it up in a different way?
I think mixing it up in a different way is the best way to say it, yeah.
That's not a bad deal as well. In terms of the defense, you mentioned you were top 5 in most categories. I think you guys went to 9th in points. And again, it's all relative.
You took that 6 years ago.
That's what I was going to say. I was about to say we all got spoiled by a defense that was literally 1 or 2 in everything. you're a perfectionist on this stuff. So did the slippage you saw, if you want to call it slippage, was it, you think, well, you mentioned maybe the losing a little something with Everson out. Is there anything else you look back on and say, okay, here's where I'm declaring we got to get back to, this is what we do well?
Yeah, well, I think there's two areas. Early in the year we gave up big plays, which we very rarely give up big plays. Since I've been here, I think we've been in a one or two and given up big pass plays, and we gave up a lot early in the season. People are scheming things differently now, and so we've had to make some changes after the fourth ball game, I guess it was. That part, we lost a little bit of the physicality in the run game later on in the season. Guys were kind of getting after us a little bit that way. But I feel really good about where we're at, the things that we're going to adjust and change, and that's one thing about the off season and springtime and trying to looking at different concepts and different things, and how can I use Harrison Smith a little bit? How can I use Barr a little bit different? And the other thing, quite honestly, the 2 years ago when we were number one in the league in defense, we were on the field 4 minutes less a game. So you talk about 4 times 16, and you're that's a whole nother game that you're on the field throughout the course of the year, and that will cut into your statistics and your playing time and everything else.
And that speaks to you why you want the offense to be better as well. A couple last things before we go with Mike Zimmer. There's been a lot of stuff written about Gary Kubiak, obviously, who's got a great reputation for all good reasons in his league, a Super Bowl pedigree established coach. And we've heard a lot about, where he's supposed to help Stefanski, offense, etc. I'm curious to know how he's helped you, or what it's been like, what you anticipate, because you haven't really had a season with him yet, but you had him around for months already. What it's done for you to have him around?
Well, so when Tony Sperano was here, I was able to go in and talk to him every morning about the offense, about different things, and it's been very similar to that with Gary. Gary's got a great way about him. He gets after these quarterbacks, and talks to them about things he expects from them and how he expects them to do it, and things like that. But for me, it's been really good. And I talked. What did you used to do when you in practice? What about when Shanahan? What did you guys do when you were there? How about when you're in San Francisco? All these different things, because I'm always looking to see if there's something better that we can do, a different way to do it. You saw today we were on. You probably didn't see it in the walkthrough, but in practice we had 2 fields going on, so some of the younger guys get more reps. And it was something I came up with, but I asked Gary, did you ever do that? And he said, yeah. And then I'll go up to him later and I'll say, hey, what'd you think of that period? And he said, I think it's great for these young guys. They get a lot of reps. They get, it's helping these young receivers line up in the right place, which is always the major thing. And he's got an unbelievably calming way about him, I'm probably need that.
Great, and a great sounding board, right? I mean, every coach, the best ones, I think, aren't afraid to hear somebody say to him, no, I don't think we're doing that right, or here's another way to look at it. But you got to respect the person who's saying it to you, right? That's the key to this.
Definitely, and I 100% respect him. One of the things. Seems like every time I played him, we couldn't beat him. I know we played him in the playoffs 2 or 3 times when he was in Houston, and he beat us all those times. So, and I understand how difficult it is to play the offense that he's doing, and so that's why I thought it was such a great fit. And he was on my radar all along.
By the way, the division, does it feel any better to know that there's at least one other team in the division that is now battling through special teams like place-kicking crises? The Bears, obviously, they're trying to figure out what to do. Is it any easier to deal with, to know that, it's not just us occasionally that have had to deal with that challenge? There are other teams that have to mess with it too? Does it help at all?
No, not really. And, because we expect Dan to come out here and make these field goals. And the disappointing thing today was, he kicked so good this spring, and then he comes out here and people are here and he misses. Now the wind was blowing pretty good, but but that's still no excuse. and this kid he's a great kid, and he's a very professional. So, hopefully it was just a bad day. I'm hoping he gets a lot better.
Tell me about, congratulations on your continuing work with the Mike Zimmer Foundation. Update people on what you're up to, because you had the big golf tournament this year, right?
Yeah.
I'm told it was a smashing success. Didn't you talk with Common Man? Didn't you have an interview with Common Man during the big deal?
Yeah, I did.
You survived that?
Yeah. It's been good. My daughter she just filled, so she orders backpacks, and then she goes and orders all the pens and pencils and papers and all the different things for it, and she stuffs every one of them. So she got 300 backpacks, stuffed them all, and then I think next Tuesday, maybe our day off, I'm taking them to the Salvation Army, and we're going to give them to the kids out there.
Excellent.
So that's the next thing that's going on, and trying to think and then probably nothing till Thanksgiving, I'm guessing.
But this has become an important thing for you, obviously.
Yeah,
and it's building on itself.
Yeah, and it's been great. We've had some great sponsors. C.H. Robinson helped us with the golf tournament. Vikings we had a big pre-party. We had guitars from Kenny Chesney signed by him.
Nice.
And Toby Keith, and we had, I had to get a hunting bow from Cabin Fever over there, and and we had fishing rods from Tuned Up Custom Rods, and we just had a lot of people donate a lot of really cool things, and so that was a lot of fun, and guys, we had a trip to Napa that I think Brzezinski bid on and won, and
wow.
Shug got some. They bid on a time to go down to the ranch with
hang with
me, and so there's a lot of cool.
Well, I
things
wonder, did they want to win that? I mean, they got to be around you enough as it is, don't they?
Well, I don't.
You're a little more relaxed then.
It was people that didn't. Oh, I'm way more relaxed, but it's people that didn't know me. So
there you go.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to chat with you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
And I know you don't, but I miss our weekly chats during the season. So I know that ship has sailed, but I miss them.
I know Common Man was asking me if I was doing it. I'm seriously considering it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, keep us in mind. We love when we do it. So.
All right.
It's good to hear.
Yeah,
good to see you as always.
Appreciate
Great stuff. Mike Zimmer helping us out on day one of training camp, Minnesota Vikings, TCO Performance Center.